K. The word for day in Basque is egun. Sometimes it varies with egur. In Avar is o. And the same word exists in other Caucasian languages. When we come to morphology, this is just one aspect of Basque morphology, and I think it's actually fossilized morphology. These prefixes no longer have a meaning, but we see these prefixes over and over again in Basque words, nouns, and I think they are related to the class prefixes in Caucasian. So there's a prefix for inanimate nouns, which is a w or b, and animate feminine nouns, something like y or e, and animate masculine nouns are u. And then in the fossilized prefixes in Basque, I think, are be, b, which I think is just two variants of the same one, and similarly e or ou are different variants of the same prefix corresponding to these. I believe this indicates that an earlier stage of Basque, there was a system of noun classification into several classes or genders, a system that persists in some but not all East Caucasian languages. So some Caucasian languages have lost this classification. And some of them have not only 3 or 4, but some even more genders or classes. So I think these prefixes can be seen in words like bellari for ear. In East Caucasian, for example, with a different noun, we have tindi, betlu, which is stomach, and the B is a fossilized class prefix. BC, life, alive. In Sahur, we have a word like wuchun, belly. Eshne or isne is milk in Basque. Avar has a prefix ya in daughter and in sister and another feminine words. And I think this is the same prefix in isne and in iseba. Basque oshaba, uncle, and urdail, stomach, have the third prefix, o or u, and in Avar it's a wa. So Avar has was, son, and wat's, brother. So you could see the same stem here for daughter or son, depending on the prefix, the class prefix. This is a feminine class prefix, makes it daughter. And the masculine class prefix makes this word for son. And similarly with sister and brother. So there might be a little trace of the meaning of the feminine versus the masculine here. Iseba, which is a feminine, and Oshaba, which is a masculine. Then we go to phonology, and just as we saw the Spanish and French words, Castilian and French words with a h and a h, there's a regular sound correspondence between Basque h and Chechen ch. So the Basque word for thread is originally hari, or in some compound words is hal. In Chechen, chal means thread. This is an animal word, hart for bear, and in Chechen we have chesht, meaning a smaller animal, or a marten. And I think we might be able to compare the Basque word for child, haur, with Chechen word for lamb, chauchar. It's a baby sheep. And probably this word for bottom or lower is behe, and Chechen is uch. And it can have, this adjective can, or noun can have different class prefixes again, just like the other words with that equal sign. So there, I think there's a recurrent correspondence here, h and ch. Another interesting correspondence is in the final vowels of some words. So Basque mihi for tongue, and in Tindi it's mitzi, and hiri or huri for village or city, and avarkuli means farmstead, which is a small, very small village. Habe for pillar or beam, and avar is chubi, post, pole, or stem, and so on. There's a or an e in Basque, and there's a e in Caucasian for the final vowels. And also with the u vowel, Basque word for blind, ichu, in Tindi is etz ub, and the ba is a suffix that appears in many adjectives. And again, this equal sign means that the Tindi word can have different class prefixes depending if you're describing a feminine or masculine or inanimate thing that is blind. The word, Basque word for mouse is shagu, I think is cognate with the Avar word satlu, which means weasel. Kankano, stone, kernel, or almond in some Basque dialects. In Avar is korkonu, means grape or berry. And the last one is Basque word for wolf, ocho. Andi is botso. And the same word for wolf is found in many other Caucasian languages. So I think this is a very archaic, old syllabic structure. I-i, or i-u, i-u. And it is preserved in Basque, also in some Avar Andean languages, not in all Caucasian languages, but especially in Avar Andean languages, which include Avar, Tindi, Andi, and a few others. So I'm giving examples from here, from Avar, Tindi, and Andi. And in fact, all these languages kind of have the same structure in these words. So my analysis of Basque, basic vocabulary, morphology, and phonology all lead to the same conclusion. The Basque language is most similar to the North Caucasian languages native to the Caucasus mountain range. This is a family of about 35 languages including Avar, Lak, Dargi, Lezgi, Chechen, Abkhaz, and Kabardian, and several others. And finally, a large amount of evidence supports his conclusion, only a small fraction of which is displayed in this presentation. Obviously I can't give you all the evidence right here in this hour, but there is more evidence in these references I refer to at the end of the handout. So this is a map of the Caucasus peoples, and they're not all related in this close way with Basque, but particularly here, Adige, Ingush and Chechen, and Dagestan over here has many of the other languages I've referred to today. Georgian is not part of this North Caucasian family, it's a different family. Of course, Azerbaijani is Turkic, Armenian is Indo-European, Russian, of course, is Indo-European. So these North Caucasian languages are surrounded by languages from other families, and they've, like Basque, they've been pushed higher and higher into the mountains, into refuge areas. A few pictures of some Caucasian peoples, the Avar, the Adige, Abkhaz, Chechen. This is nothing, but I have another version here. So it's not only me, but most prominently Sergei Starostin of Moscow, his son George Starostin of Moscow, and a few others have gradually refined this this dene-caucasian macro family, by which we mean it's a very old family. It's a family of families, and you'll see actually super family of families. And we think the primary branching is between Western dene-caucasian, which consists of Basque and North Caucasian, Burushaski and Yeniseian in another branch, and then an Eastern dene-caucasian branch, and this is the Sino-Dene proposal put forward by Edward Sapir almost 100 years ago. He believed that the Na-Dene languages of North America were related to the Sino-Tibetan languages of East Asia. And I agree with this, and I have also written an article about Sino-Dene and Sapir's evidence and also other evidence for it. Now that's the eastern branch, and then the western